Welcome back to the show, everybody. We're going to take a look at some information that I believe is starting to really bring it all together. And hopefully, at the same time, while we're watching this case be taken over from Judge Netburn to Annalisa Judge Torres, and hopefully we get some rulings that really reveal just how much longer this case will go. Somebody rolled a beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. We may see in this information today some notion that the United States may be playing at last and the last card at the table for a very, very specific reason. Certainly worth noting and having a conversation about today. Right now, it is February 7th, 2022. Market cap is $1.954 trillion, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of money coming back in this space. And we're up 2.73%, 42,000 plus for Bitcoin, Ethereum 3,000 plus slightly. And we see Cardano right now at $1.18. Shout out to Charles Hoskinson. And Solana is $117 and change. XRP is 76 cents. Look at these numbers here. 29.5% on the 7-day, right? 29.5% on the 7-day. But look at the 24-hour. The 24-hour is 14.51% on the 24. Now you tell me what's going on there. This is pretty remarkable to me, ladies and gentlemen. That is a lot of motion over the last 24 hours right there. We will keep an eye on it. And you know what? I even shared a tweet on Twitter this morning that said, take that, SEC. I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to see some action. And I'm talking about price action going in the right way. I've bought a lot of dips since 2017. And I even bought the FOMO on the way up in 2017, 2018 too. So, I love it. The dollar cost average for me has got to be like 20 or 18 cents or something. It's pretty crazy. But nevertheless, I'm ready to see this thing get resolved with the SEC. But look, before we get into it, we've got a lot to lay out, and I'm going to lay it out in a smooth fashion this morning. And I want you to really make up your own mind. I'm excited to hear your comments. But the numbers are brought to you by Link2, and they've got a brand new product on there. Listen to Ray Fuentes from Link2 here, and let him tell you very quickly what's going on here.
Hey, what's going on, family and friends? Ray Fuentes here, Community Manager at Link2. I'm super excited to share this breaking news with you all. Link2 just added the unicorn Thrasio to our portfolio of investment opportunities and is available on our Link2 platform today, so saddle up all you unicorn hunters. Thrasio is a next-generation consumer goods company disrupting the e-commerce industry. Founded in 2018, Thrasio has already achieved a proud portfolio including tens of thousands of products and owns nearly 200 brands. 1 in 6 US households owns a Thrasio product, and this is just the beginning for Thrasio. Thrasio, who's now considered to be one of the world's largest acquirer of Amazon fulfillment centers, has just launched their valuation to approximately $5 billion since inception of the corporation. So join Link2 and invest in Thrasio ASAP, as this pre-IPO unicorn is headed straight towards the exit door. Thank you all for tuning in. Love you mucho.
Really, really awesome to see this new product. 1 in every 6 households has a Thrasio product. They own over 200 brands. That's pretty remarkable. All right, let's get into this. If you guys remember, you've been in this space for any length of time, there was a person on Twitter that would share some pretty incredible things a year and a half ago or more. And they went by Rachel Lee. And this is one of the topics that really sets up where we're going to go today, because I do ultimately believe that XRP will be a bridge currency for all the money of the world, because I understand that the XRP ledger is in fact a decentralized ledger for the world, a decentralized exchange. Looking right here, she said, the XRP you hold is gold. It will become a supranational currency, which will be used by every bank, company, nation, etc. that needs to move money across borders, plus other uses. No longer a single nation will control the world's reserve currency. The situation remains imminent. Now, obviously, that has been a year or more since that tweet, I believe, but nevertheless, these thoughts have been very, very profound to hear this, because obviously I pound the drum, she was pounding the drum, DAI pounds the drum, we all pound the drum about the ultimate use case. What does it take to get here? We're going to look at that information right now as we unfold. Look at this. This was shared by Digital Asset Investor, oddly enough, just yesterday. So this is an old clip that was taken, a screenshot from a World Bank back in 2016, referencing that XRP was in fact a supranational currency. And then the document gets hard to find these days. This is the kind of thing that we find that really says it's not just us saying this and saying that we want to see this happen. There's evidence we have found over the years that suggests that the largest players in the financial system, including the World Bank, believe it too. Now, in order to get there, we're going to need ISO 20022. And in just a second, you're going to hear from ACI tell you how important that is for a one payment platform approach. And that's how they say it. And I'm going to let you hear them say it. But to remind you that Ripple is a part of that ISO 20022 standards and body as the first member to explore the implementation of distributed ledger technology for that messaging standard around the world. It is the new de facto global standard for modern payments. So it's about getting the entire financial system and all the corporations and companies tied into it as well to use this messaging system. And you're also going to hear the gentleman from the ACI video tell you that it is also about the corporate use and consumer use. This messaging platform goes across all levels for consistency. And I think that's extremely important. So take a look at this. Then we find out that Ripple's not the only one that's actually compliant with ISO and a member of the ISO standards body. Ripple is, XRP, and Stellar Lumens. XLM is also. These are the first two to be added to this body, opening up standardization for distributed ledger technology. So we can see the marriage between this global de facto standard for messaging of payments with these two distributed ledger technology companies that happen to have a token, which apparently seems to be very important for both networks. Here is ACI, and why are they important? Well, they're important because they're a Ripple partner. And not long ago, back in September of 2020, we found out that they teamed up with MasterCard to create a new payment solution globally. Well, let's hear some of the thoughts right here. This is about 30 seconds of some straight fire of ACI talking about what's coming in the ISO 20022.
How are regulatory-driven standards in many countries really driving a convergence of high and low-value payments?
That real-time everything perspective we talked about, there's a few different sort of vectors there, one of them being digital, but the other one being the data. So the digital would be the mobile phones, the access through online services, but the data underpins it. There's an expectation that no longer are we left with 40-year-old systems that can have that much data. Now we can have enormous amounts of data passing through. The challenge with data then is the standards that you need, because each market wants to interoperate, each segment wants to interoperate. We want this interoperability, and that's where the ISO 20022 standard has come from. Now that standard, I think a lot of people think, oh, it's come from a corporate perspective, but it's also working for the consumers as well. And so merchants can benefit from the additional data to have more information about what's going on with the purchases, so they can run data queries and be able to better provide to the end consumer. There's things like Nexus standards in Europe already adopting 20022. EPI, which is the European Payments Initiative, that's looking to leverage the real-time rails in Europe, which is a 20022 data set as well. SWIFT are doing it, so cross-border, US, FedWire, FedNow, and it's all driving that kind of need for the extra data. Now, I would say banks are getting better at moving the data messages, but we haven't seen a huge amount yet, although some is happening, of the passing of the benefits of that extra data, of that rich data, to the end customer. I mean, ISO 20022 means it's a means to an end, which is the bigger, richer data, but there needs to be a way to then leverage that data, and how do you actually use it?
And there you have it. The ISO 20022 is what he's talking about there. You can hear him mention it even with the accent. I know sometimes it's hard, but I also want to take you right here because he's going to tell you in summation here that you can use this platform, this messaging system, not only for corporates, but for consumers. And he also talks about a one payment platform is what you have as a means to an end. And that tells you, I just showed you that Ripple and Stellar are a part of this ultimate means to an end. Take a listen right here.
How are financial institutions using payment hubs to address infrastructure changes?
It's very much about a hybrid approach, about replacing old technology with new and looking to leverage the old technology while you transition to where you need to get to. And so that's creating some form of a consolidation across the banks as well, where we're seeing, certainly in the past, it's very much been the cards people sit over here, the corporate payments people sit over here. And I can give you loads of examples where that's been the case. What we're increasingly seeing through this drive towards digital and real-time payments of capabilities is this need to settle and converge on a single set of standards. And that's creating the opportunity to have a single hub capability of a set of capabilities and consolidate so that it can be used across the bank. That's what we call the platform approach to payment services. One singular platform that serves the rest of the bank, whichever part of the bank it needs to serve.
And there you have it. And doesn't this align with what Brad Garling has talked about for years? Is that they focused on building the market infrastructure that's needed in order to really connect the world to this new opportunity of being able to use digital technology and digital tokens for settlement? This is all a part of where we're going. And take a look at this. This is a reminder right here from David Schwartz back in November of 2021. And he's going to tell you that the XRP ledger itself is a public good. And we have talked about that many times on this channel.
Ledger's hyper efficiency and liquidity enables developers globally to support numerous use cases from DeFi, payments, consumer applications. And you don't need anybody's permission to interact with the XRP ledger, right? It's a public good.
There you go. It's a public good, and that's what you need to hear. And then we know this public good also allows the ability to take some of that private or that technology or that ledger and make a private ledger for central banks to launch central bank digital currencies. Now we know Republic of Palau, Central Bank of Bhutan are already doing this, and it'll be exciting if we see a resolution to this case with some clarity and then begin to see what other financial institutions and central banks may be planning to do exactly the same thing. Then we just had this recent report that was shared here by Utility Theory yesterday. And I want to remind people that in this report, it breaks down that proof of work and proof of stake largely are not a solution. Period. Full stop. However, they do go into the idea that Byzantine Federated Agreement or Byzantine fault tolerance are cited here as a real means to solve issues of centralization with great scalability. It goes on to cite well-known cases of this are Ripple and Stellar. Let's keep moving. And then we find out the World Bank back here in, November 2021, suggests that stable coins for cross-border payments could in fact qualify with Ripple XRP and XLM Stellar. It also cites RippleNet's native currency. So RippleNet is important in this thing too, right? Isn't in fact, and I've talked about this, that I believe one day you see a merger, acquisition, or certainly a partnership with the likes of RippleNet and Swift. Because isn't it just that RippleNet is the new version of Swift? And isn't it a problem that Swift is being obfuscated at times by other countries that are really, really bad actors? It happens, right? Looking at this, in order to deal with these things, you have to have something be so important that it would be systemically important financial market utility, or a SIFMU, or a SIFME, which I've been saying incorrectly. A SIFME is actually a systemically important financial market enterprise. No, not enterprise. I kept saying infrastructure, but it's actually industry, or I believe it is something like that. So, matter of fact, let me figure out what it is. I'm going to clear that up right now. Yes, systemically important financial market industry is what a SIFME is, right? But a SIFMU is important because it's a utility. Isn't the XRP ledger a public good, like David Schwartz says? And doesn't that make it just like the protocols of the internet and the internet itself a utility? I think it does, right? And if it does, and if, in fact, it is going to be used as a decentralized exchange for all the world, doesn't it mean that they should, in fact, step in and declare this thing a systemically important financial market utility? Look at some of these things that have gotten this designation already. The clearinghouse payments, CLS Bank, world's largest multi-currency cash settlement system, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, the world's largest futures exchange, ICE Clear Credit, Intercontinental Exchange, the second largest futures exchange after CME. Depository Trust Company, Fixed Income Clearing Corporation, a subsidiary again with the National Securities Clearing Corporation. What do all of these have in common? They clear and settle either payments, as you see up here, or they're settling derivatives market. You know, isn't that what the XRP ledger is? A decentralized exchange for the world, for where you can do all of these things? And wouldn't it make sense at some point to plug all of these things into the decentralized ledger so you could have an accurate feed of all of these things once everything is moved to the new system? Maybe it already is. And this is the entity that would do it. It's the U.S. Treasury, ladies and gentlemen. And they would deem things systemically important because of its utility and how it could be a significant risk on the up or downside to the financial system. And let's not forget about the other side of the regulatory arm for the Treasury. It's OFAC, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, the Office of Foreign Asset Control. And they've already had a hand in how to deal with virtual currency and how you block it around the world. It seems the approach is already there. You can see here OFAC designated a Russian virtual currency exchange back in September 21, just a few months ago. Exchange for facilitating financial transactions for ransomware actors. Based on analysis of known transactions, over 40% of exchanges' transaction history have been associated with illicit actors involving the proceeds of at least 8 ransomware variants. It says, as sanctioned persons in countries become more desperate for access to the U.S. financial system, it is vital. It says it is vital that the variants of sanctioned persons and countries or virtual currency, industry prioritize cybersecurity and implement effective sanctions, compliance controls to mitigate the risk of sanctioned persons and other actors exploiting virtual currencies to undermine U.S. foreign policy interests and national security. And that's how we get to an executive order that says crypto is a matter of national security. But isn't it even bigger than that? Because the Kremlin and China reveal they have a new financial system to obfuscate SWIFT. They want to get around and disconnect from SWIFT financial system. They're tired of the United States imposing sanctions from them and using SWIFT to do it. Then they just made a deal, too, to be even more upset here. Russia and China agree on a 30-year gas deal and a new pipeline to settle in euros. How do you stop this bleeding if you're the United States? Think about this. This is damaging to the strength of the U.S. dollar. But not just the U.S. dollar, because there's a lot of other countries that peg their dollar to the U.S. dollar because of the strength of the dollar being used to settle for petro transactions and supply and trade around the world. Ultimately, we have to ask ourselves, is it the final play, the last card of the United States to allow all of these countries like Russia and China to set up their new financial system, thinking they're going to get around SWIFT? And then ultimately see a merger of RippleNet with SWIFT of some sort, or an acquisition, or whatever you want to call it. We know some of the largest banks are already on there anyway, and wouldn't it be even larger play to let them think that their digital yuan, the euro, and all other currencies could be strengthened by these individual partnerships and deals to get around the dollar and weaken the dollar? But wouldn't it be in the U.S.'s best interest to have something like RippleNet to replace SWIFT because it's faster, more efficient, more secure, and scalable, that the rest of the world would really desire to use it because the financial system is already connected to it? And then wouldn't it also be in the best interest of the United States to say, you know what, maybe we buy that escrow every month, or maybe Ripple just needs to become a central bank? Because if XRP is going to be a bridge currency to the world, it in fact needs to be some form of a currency. And if that's true, then I think Ripple, if it's going to remain the steward of the escrow, is going to need to be some form of a central bank. This is getting interesting, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to do it for me. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, leave a comment below, and share with somebody you know. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Check out all the links in the description and comment box. They are great products and services I use each and every day. I'll catch all of you on the next one.